right? So all the form elements like text area, checkbox, radio button, then menu, then push button, submit button, right? So this type of form component you can add with the use of form tag in HTML, right? So these are the various form controls, right? Now HTML allows the user to place this form components like text area, checkbox, radio button on the web page and send the desired information to the destination server, right? So these all components, right, are available with the use of form tag, right? And the form has an one attribute called actions, right, which get executed when the user clicks on the button or the submit button, right? So let us see various attributes of the form tags, right? First attribute of form tag is action, right? Now what is the use of action attribute of form, right? Action attribute of form specifies the URL where the form should be submitted. It means after clicking on the submit button, right, where your uh, form should submit the entered data, right, that's specified by the action attribute, right? Action is equals to, in double quotes, write down the URL, right? Then next attribute of form tag is method, right? There are two types of HTTP methods, right? You can specify with the use of form tag, that is get method and post method, right? So second attribute of form tag is method, right? With the use of method attributes, you can specify the HTTP methods such as get method and post method, right? The next attribute of form tag is name, right? This attribute denotes the name of the form, right? And next is target, right? So this attribute is used to specify the target of the address in the action attribute, right? So these are the various attributes of the form tag, right? Now let us learn various form components one by one, right? So first form component is, excuse me, first form component is text, right? So whenever we require to place one line text, right, at that time we can use text component of the form text, right? Or if you want to enter some name, or if you want to enter some department name, or one line information you want to enter in your form, right, at that time always use text component of the form text, right? Now let us see what is the uh, syntax to set the text field in the form, right? So for that you have to use the input tag, right? Input, then specify the type of the component, right? Here we want to set up the text component of the form tag. So input type is equals to, in double quotes, write down text, right? Then other attribute of input tag is size, which is used to specify the size of the text box, right? So suppose here we write down 20, so it will allow you to enter maximum 20 characters, right? Then next is another attribute of input tag is name. Name is equals to, in double quotes, write down the name of the text box, right? So suppose here we write down you name, right? This name is user defined. You can give any name to any components, right? Whenever we connect this HTML form with server, right, at that time to transfer the information from HTML page, it means client to server, we use this name component, right? So that is the use of name attribute of input tag. Then next is value, right? Value is equals to, suppose right now we give it blank. So whenever you load this HTML page in your browser, right, initially value of this text box is blank, right? If you write down here ABC, then ABC will appear when you load this page in your browser. Getting different attributes of input tag. Type is equals to text because we want to set the text box in our form, right? Size is equals to 20. It will use to specify the maximum uh, length of the text. Then name is equals to any user defined name, right? And value is equals to value for that particular control. Right? There are also other parameters or attributes which you can use with the use of input tag, that is max length, right? Max length attribute allows user to enter the text of some maximum length, right? Then other attribute or parameter is align, right, which is used to denote the alignment of the text in the text box, right? Value for this align attribute is either left, either right, bottom or top, right? So align attribute of input tag is used to align the text in the text box, right? So this is about the text box in form, right? Now let us write down one code, right, which is used to display one text box in your web page, right? So write down one HTML code which is used to display one text box in your HTML page. HTML head title, suppose title is text box demo, then title tag over, then head tag over, right? Then body tag starts. After the body tag, we have to start the form tag because we want to create one form, right? Now in form, we have to create one text box, right? So for that, which tag is used? Input, right? Input, then attribute is type. So in type, we have to write down text because we want to create one text box, right? Then you can use any attribute which facility you want to include in your text box. So suppose size is equals to 25, right? And value is equals to blank. You can add name also, text one, right? So this line will create one text box with size of 25 with value blank and name text one, right? Our text box create થશે, so it will create one rectangle blank box, right? હવે એની આગળ મારે કોઈક label આપવું છે, right? So you can give label like this, string or name suppose. So it will print name in bold letters, right? Then form tag over, body tag over, and HTML tag over, right? Now save your file. દેખાય છે બધાને?
મેમ તમારો અવાજ બ્રેક થાય છે.
બધાને ફોર્મ દેખાય છે? યસ ઓર નો?
યસ મેમ.
My voice is audible or not?
યસ મેમ.
You can see the shared screen on your uh, phone or laptop.
યસ મેમ.
Okay. So ઓકે, અહીંયા સુધી તો બધાએ જોયેલું હતું ને? અહીંયા સુધી તો દેખાયેલું હતું ને બધાને સ્ક્રિપ્ટ?
યસ મેમ.
Okay. Now save your file and open in browser. Right? So here you can see one text box, right? With one label name, which we already created in our HTML document. Right? So in this way, you can create component text box using the form tag. Getting? And in head part, we give title as a text box demo, so it will appear here. Yes. Now let us see the next component which you can add. Nothing. My voice is clearly audible or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now next component is text area. Right. Now in text box field, right, you can enter only single line text, right? But what if you want to write down multiple line text, right? So for that, one component is available in form tag, that is text area component, right? It will allow you to write the multiple lines in your form, right? So for that, tag is text area, right? Text area, then space, attribute is columns, suppose 50. So it will allow you to enter 50 words, 50 letters vertically. That will create length of your text area, right? That is 50. And next is rows, because text area is a combination of columns and rows, which allows you to enter multiple lines, right? So you have to specify the number of columns and number of rows. Number of columns means horizontal uh, space of your text area, and rows means vertical space of your text area. Suppose rows is equals to 5. So height of your text area is 5, right? Then other attribute is name, right? You can specify the name of the text area. Suppose text area 1, right? Then another attribute of text area is rep, right? So there are total two values for rep attribute, virtual or physical, right? Now if rep is virtual, then the line breaks get disappeared when the text is actually submitted to the server, right? But if the rep is physical, right, then the line breaks appear as it is in the text, right? So this is the other attribute of text area, that is rep, right? So let us create the simple text area with column value 50 and row value 5, right? So and the text area tag, then end of the form tag, end of the body tag, end of the HTML tag, right? Now save your file, right, and open in the browser. So it will create one text box and one text area. Okay, let's take and address, suppose. Let's save your file and open in browser, right? So in this way it will create text area with 40 and height 5, right? Because you specified, sorry, 50, because you specified the column value 50 and row value 5, right? So this is the text area component of form, right? Then next component is checkbox, right? So checkbox is the simplest component, right, which is used to which is used particularly when we want to make some selection from several options. right? Why we use checkbox? Whenever we want some selection from multiple options, right? So we can add checkbox component to our form, right? Now to create a checkbox or to set a checkbox in our form, right? We have to specify the input type is equals to checkbox, right? With the use of input tag, right? So let us see how to set the checkbox in HTML form, right? In tag is input tag, type is equals to, in double quotes, write down checkbox, right? Then another attribute is name, right? So write down checkbox 1, right? Name માં તમે કંઈ પણ આપી શકો જે તમને યાદ રહી, right? Or either you can give option 1, option 2, option 3 like this also, or checkbox 1, checkbox 2, as you wish, right? Then value, right? So value means value which is assigned to that particular checkbox. Whenever user select that checkbox, right, this value will transfer to the server, right? So suppose here we write down book 1, right, or a subject name, suppose WP, right? So whenever user select this checkbox 1, right, what value will transfer to the server? That is WP, right? Then another uh, attribute of checkbox is checked is equals to, in double quotes, write down check. It means whenever you open this web page in your browser, right, initially checkbox 1 will mark as a checked, right? Then input tag over and write down the text which you want to display with this checkbox in your web page. Suppose you want to display web programming with this checkbox, then write down web programming, right? And let us take one BR tag, right? Save your script and open in the browser, right? So it will create one checkbox. Right here, web programming, right? It is visible to everyone,
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
right? So in this way, you can create a chat box. Suppose you want to create 3 chat box, then write down 3 times input tag, right? And remember, every time for every chat box, give different name, right? If you give checkbox 1 to this first checkbox, then for second checkbox, write down different name. Getting? Here for this checkbox, you can use the div tag also, right? So it will create one section for all the 3 or 4 checkbox, right? So this is the component, another component of form tag, that is checkbox, right? And here we give checked is equals to, in double quotes, check, so it appear checked when you open in the browser. I think so. This is about the chat box. Now next component is radio button, right? Now radio button is also used for selection from several choices, right? But there is one difference between checkbox and radio button, right? In chat box, at a one time we can select multiple options, right? But with the use of radio button, at a one time we can select only one option. So that is the main difference between radio button and checkbox, right? Whenever you want to add some component, like whenever you require multiple choices, at the time use checkbox, right? But whenever you want to make selection from for particular one selection only, right, at the time use radio button, not the checkbox, right? If you put checkbox for particular selection, right, then it will allow user to select multiple options, so it will not work as per your requirements, right? Suppose you want to allow user to select their gender, right? So either it is male or female, right? So for gender you cannot put the checkbox. For gender always you have to put the radio button in your form, right? So getting what is the difference between radio button and checkbox?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So let us see how to set the component radio button, right? So for that also you have to use the input type, input tag type is equals to radio, right? This you have to remember. Input type is equals to radio, not radio button. If you write down radio button here, it will not set the radio button component in your web page. To create a radio button, right, input type is equals to radio, not the radio button, right? So input type is equals to radio, then name is equals to, suppose, group 1 or radio 1, right? Then value is equals to, suppose, w sam 1, right? Then here write down text which you want to display along with the radio button, right? And BR10. Now, right? Now again I want to create second radio button, right? So input type is equals to radio. Now name is equals to radio 1 only, right? In case of checkbox, right, you have to write down different name for different checkbox, right? Because checkbox allows user to select multiple option at a one time. So જેટલા પણ ઓપ્શન સિલેક્ટ કરશે એ બધા અને કયા કયા ઓપ્શન સિલેક્ટ કર્યા છે એ બધા સર્વર પર રિફ્લેક્ટ થવા જોઈએ, right? But with the use of radio button, right, radio button component only allows user to select one option at a time, right? So either this or this or this, right? So for that, whenever you want to set the radio button, multiple radio buttons in your form, right, then for some same group, right, at that time give same name to all the radio button of same group, right? So here for second radio button also name must be radio 1 only, right? Then value must be different, right? Because જે રેડિયો બટન સિલેક્ટ કરશે એની વેલ્યુ પાસ થવી જોઈએ, either 1 or 2, એ બેમાંથી જે પણ રેડિયો બટન સિલેક્ટ કરશે એની વેલ્યુ પાસ થવી જોઈએ, right? So this will create two radio buttons, right? Another options, or you can say another attribute which you can specify with the use of radio button is checked, right? So here write down checked. So it means The second radio button is initially check when you open this web page in your browser. Right, so let us open this page in the browser. Right, so it will create two radio button, SAM1, SAM2, right, and allow user to select only one radio button at a one time. Right, initially SAM2 is selected, right, and it will allow only one radio button to select at a one time. Right, now let us create two right, so it will create two checkbox, web programming and theory of computation, and allow you to select two checkbox at a one time. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
અવાજ સંભળાય છે મારો
Screenshot
બધાને?
ठीक है.
રેડિયો બટન અને ચેકબોક્સ જે ડિફરન્સ મેં બતાવ્યો એ ખબર પડી બધાને બધાની સ્ક્રીન પર ડિસ્પ્લે થાય છે?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is about the checkbox and written component of the form, right? Next component is button, right? Whenever you want to create a button in your form,
मैम आवाज बहुत ब्रेक था.
બધાની સ્ક્રીન પર નોટપેડ ફાઇલ દેખાય છે?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right? So next component is button, right? We can create a button using input tag, input, sorry, type is equals to button, right? Then next is value, right? Value of this button, suppose send, right? And name of this button, suppose button 1, right? Here name attribute is used to denote the name of the button, right? Value is for writing some text on that particular button, right? And another attribute is align, which is used to uh, align align the particular button, right? Suppose align is equals to, we have to, suppose we write down center, right? So it will create one button, right, whose value is send, name is button 1, and alignment for that particular button is center, right? So save your file, right, and open in the browser. So it will create one button, right? And on that button text is send because we give values equals to send, right? Now same way you can create a submit button or reset button, right? So how to create a submit button and reset button in the form? Prachi, please mute your phone. Okay. So suppose you want to create a submit button, then here write down button is equals to submit, value is equals to submit. Here value is the text which you want to display on that button, right? Name is equals to suppose button 1 or submit 1 કે તમારે જે આપવું હોય એ, right? Align is equals to center. Same way you can set the reset button also. Now what is the use of reset button? Whenever user click on the reset button, it will reset the data of the form, or it will it will clear the form and allow user to reset or re-enter the data in the form, right? So whenever you want to create a reset button, input type is equals to reset, right? Instead of submit, value is equals to reset because you want to create a reset button. So uh, text on that particular button should be reset, right? Name is equals to reset 1, align center, right? Save your file, right? And open in the browser, right? So it will create one reset button and one submit button. Getting how to create a
Yes, ma'am.
submit button and reset button in the form,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
right? Now next component of the form tag is menu, right? So HTML allows user to create a drop down menu on the web page, right? So from that menu user can select the desired choice, right? Now to create a menu, right, you have to use the select component, right? Select space, attribute is name, right? So here give any name of your choice, suppose my menu, right? Now to give the or to set the values for that particular drop down menu, right, you have to use the parameter option, right? Option value is equals to, write down value which you want to give to uh, options in your menu, right? So suppose here we write down option value is equals to suppose sam1, right? Then over, then write down the text which you want to display along with the along in your menu bar, right? Then end of the first option. Same way, set different option for your menu like this, right? Sam1, Sam2, Sam3, Sam4, like this, right? You can create multiple options in your menu, right? Now, if initially when you open this page in your browser, you want to display some uh, option as selected, right? Then here you can write down suppose like this option selected space value, right? So initially this option third is selected when this page is open in the browser, right? So after this, close the select, right? Form tag over, body tag over. Save your file, right? And open this file in the browser. Let's just wait. Right, so it will create one menu, right? Initially, uh, we give selected option or selected parameter to third option of the menu. So whenever you open this page in your browser, right, menu માં ઉપર તમને કયું selected દેખાશે? SAM3, right? Here with the use of arrow, open the menu and select any option from the menu. Getting how to set the menu in your form? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So this is about the form tag in HTML. You can uh, set the components like text, text area, checkbox, radio button, submit and reset button, and menu, right, in the HTML form, right? So for today, all of you have to create one student registration form using HTML, right? You all have to create one student registration form with HTML, right? So in that, your student registration form should include name of the student, address, subjects, then just wait. Huh. Student name, address, then email address, password, then course, then payment mode and submit, right? Or either you can take any control, right, which is related to student. But just remember one thing, right? Your student registration form must cover all the controls of form tag: text, text area, checkbox, radio button, submit button, reset button, and menu. Right? So all of you create one student registration form which include all the form controls. Getting? So all of you have to uh, show me the output of the student registration form in our lab session next week. Right? It is compulsory for all of you to create one student registration form using HTML which include all the form controls. Clear?
Yes,
Right, so now I am sharing the attendance link.